I'm Joseph Austin, the Head of Probate and the Private Client Team at Kingsley Napley. In this short video, I'll explain the main features of the intestacy rules in England and Wales. Intestacy is the name we give to the situation when somebody dies without a will. Consider the functions of a will. Firstly, it names executors, trusted individuals who will administer the estate. Secondly, it identifies which people or entities, for example charities, take legacies. The intestacy rules perform the same two functions as a will. Firstly, they set out who can apply to be the equivalent of executors. Under intestacy, however, a person taking on this role will be called an administrator. Secondly, like a will, the intestacy rules divide the estate into legacies and determine which people take these. However, unlike a will, in which the deceased person has freedom over who takes the legacies, under intestacy, only relatives of the deceased person can benefit. The intestacy rules cover two main scenarios. Scenario 1 is where the deceased person left the surviving spouse or civil partner, and Scenario 2 is where they did not. For ease, from now on when I say spouse, I will mean civil partner too. Under Scenario 1, the role of the administrator is first available to the top beneficiary, which is the spouse. Now on to legacies. For deaths since 6th February 2020, if the deceased did not leave any direct descendants, the spouse receives everything. Still on Scenario 1, if there are direct descendants, the spouse receives, firstly, all of the personal property of the deceased, secondly, a sum of up to £270,000, and thirdly, half of the remainder. The direct descendants share out the other half of the remainder, and if more than one, in equal shares by the stems. On this slide, we have an example of a by the stems division. Now let's look at Scenario 2. This is the one where the deceased has not left a surviving spouse. Firstly, who has the power to be administrator? Well, again, this follows the order of the top beneficiary. If there is more than one person with an equal beneficiary right, they should agree amongst themselves who will act as the personal representative. The court will not ask for sight of that agreement. It will issue on a first-come, first-served basis to a maximum of 4 people. So who, under Scenario 2, is in the top beneficiary category? The answer, as shown on this final slide, is direct descendants. If there are any of these relatives, they take the whole estate. The division method is again by the stems. If there are no surviving direct descendants, the intestacy rules list further categories of relative, each category more distant than the last. You work your way through each category of relatives until you find at least one person who qualifies. If there are 2 or more people in the category, they share the intestacy property equally. If members of the category have predeceased, but they have left direct descendants, those people take a share by the stems. Ultimately, if no relatives can be traced, the intestacy property passes to the estate. However, this is quite rare. In summary, the simplest case is where somebody dies leaving a spouse and no descendants. In that situation, all of the intestacy property and the power to deal with this pass to the spouse. At the other end of the spectrum, somebody dying intestate without a spouse and without children would generally mean a lawyer having to look closely at the family tree, possibly with the assistance of a firm of genealogists, to establish who benefits and who has the power to apply it as administrator. Although I have only summarised the main features of the intestacy rules, it is still quite a detailed topic. In fact, these rules are a lot simpler to explain face-to-face when we have the details of your case. We also have other intestacy resources on our website. At Kingsley Napley, I have a team of experts who can guide you through the complexities of administering an intestacy, so do reach out to us. Many thanks for listening.